Hey folks, so this is the fourth and final video for bio for week 4, the function of carbs. So I am on the second to last slide, and I said in my last video that these last two slides are probably the most important in terms of the questions that you have to answer for your assignment. So I just want to go over these two slides really well. So, if you look at this slide here, it is showing us the process of digesting a candy versus milk versus a donut, right? So at this point, we should know. Actually, you know what? I didn't say this. I passed by it. Sucrose. Sucrose. If we go back to the disaccharide slide, sucrose is common table sugar. So what that means, it's like the white sugar that we all know as sugar, right? So this candy that we're looking at here is primarily made up of sucrose. So what needs to happen is the sucrose enzyme, the sucrase enzyme, needs to come in, and it needs, once the enzyme comes in, then sucrose will be broken apart, right? And then once sucrose is broken apart, these two parts go their separate ways, and you have one glucose and one fructose, right? And if you're like, wait, why glucose and why fructose? Well, we've already talked about in the very beginning that when sucrose is broken down, it becomes one glucose molecule and one fructose molecule, right? So that's how we got those two specifically. So this is the process of breaking down a candy. So we get, again, it's energy. We're getting ATP. We don't get a lot of ATP, and it doesn't last a long time, but this candy might keep you going for an hour or so, right? It might give you the fuel that your body needs to get through a fairly short period of time. So now we have milk, and milk is it has another disaccharide in it, right? Lactose. We've talked about lactose. So we need the enzyme lactase, and once that enzyme comes in, then these two molecules break apart, and you're left with glucose and galactose. And again, we can use these guys for energy. And remember, I told you in the last video that if you don't, your body stops making that enzyme lactase. It's called lactose intolerance. And then these guys don't break down. So they don't, on their own, they don't break down into glucose and galactase. They stay like this, and then it's really hard to digest them, and you get not so pleasant stomach pain. And last, but certainly not least in my book, the donuts. Oh, the donuts. I could go for a donut. So donuts are polysaccharides. They're complex carbohydrates. They are made up of many sugar molecules, right? Just like this, right? Another thing, they're made up of starch, if I didn't say that. So starch is again made up of many sugar molecules, and you need a special enzyme for starch. If we go back here, what is happening? You need starch. You need an amylase. You need an amylase enzyme. So you actually need something specific called salivary amylase, right? So going back here, this amylase will break things down, but it's not going to break things down all the way. So amylase will come in and it will break these up into like smaller chunks or chains. So you'll have these glucose chains, right? And then another enzyme has to come in and break down the chains. And once the chains are break down with donuts, you end up with, or all starch, you end up with maltose, right? That maltose disaccharide. And then maltose breaks down into two glucoses. I'm not sure why they show us one here. In my mind, you should have 2, just like all the others. But it should say glucose and glucose, right? So this is a much longer of a process. This is going to give us more, I mean, a bit more energy, the donut, than the candy or the milk, right? Okay, cool. Hopefully that makes a little sense. And then the next slide's kind of going over the same deal. So popcorn, if you eat some popcorn, that same enzyme, that salivary enzyme, that salivary amylase enzyme, comes into play, and it will break down the starch in the popcorn into chains of glucose, just like the donuts. Then the chains are going to get broken down into maltose again, and maltose is going to be broken down into 2 glucose monosaccharides. And then the monosaccharides again can help get your ATP going and give you some energy. I like this graphic over here because you go from starch, and then it shows you the 3 disaccharides, right? And then it shows you the 3 enzymes that are needed to break down each of these 3 disaccharides, which I think is cool. That's it for this unit, guys. I hope you learned a bunch. And you know what? Before I go, so let's just, again, remember you have to answer these 20 questions. They all come straight from the slides. I'm not asking you to do a ton of like real thinking with these 20. And again, if you get a few wrong, totally cool. I'm not going to make you redo it, right? It's kind of practice in my mind. And then once you get down here, this is like almost like a quiz. So if you get something wrong here, I'm going to make you revise it. So just take your time with these user slides. Ask me questions if you have them. Follow the directions. Do I have anything else to say? I don't think so. When you finish this, you end up having your 4th sticker and we're halfway done. Alright, I hope you guys have a good week, and I will hopefully see you soon. Alright, peace.